I think it's very, very important to acknowledge the fact that these children read so much more to write, those 10 pages or 20 pages of, work that they've actually, that has actually gotten published. They read and they researched a whole lot. They read so much, before they could actually churn out those few pages of engaging literature that actually got published.
Good evening.
Good evening. So, Shrishti, our discussions, as with almost with everybody, have been very interesting. I think it started with the Pushpak Yantra, the vehicle that transported Sita to Sri Lanka, and then this entire story behind it. And, there was so much of research that Shrishti had done before she actually wrote this story. But I think
Yes.
the path is, so how did you come about all of this?
Ma'am, so when I first, ma'am, one of my first drafts of the first stories, I thought, ma'am, it had a lot of links to, ma'am, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and ma'am was all so connected with the Hindu mythology. And ma'am, at that time, I was thinking of ma'am writing a story based around ma'am the remains of the ma'am of the Pushpak Vihan. Ma'am, that was
Sorry.
ma'am, so I had read a lot of books about it during that research. I looked into a lot of experts, and I looked into like lots of researchers and what all they had researched about the mythology. So ma'am, my research was nothing short of ma'am interesting. Ma'am, it was really intriguing to research about the story. And ma'am, that's when I finally ma'am, I had actually picked up a place. Ma'am, I picked up a place for my story, and then ma'am, I decided that I had to go with some sort of mythology, ma'am, because I really love historical fiction. Ma'am, it's one of my favorite genres. Ma'am, so I went ahead, and then ma'am, I looked into it, I read it, and ma'am, that's when I found the legend of the Santhals, the first people in the world, the first humans of the world, and who they were created by. So, ma'am, there's Marang, who was the Almighty, the Creator, the All-Knowing, and then ma'am, there's Pilchupudi, who was the first woman, who was one of the characters who is going to be mentioned in my story.
Yes, and how you arrive at all of this and how the main protagonist gets to explore all of this is even more interesting. So I'd want you to start with read that excerpt that you've chosen.
Yes, ma'am. I'll start right now. Out of sheer frustration and loneliness, a melancholic Leela took upon the task of dialing her own phone number, more like a drowning person clutching a straw. She knew she would get a busy tone. Nonetheless, she dialed, in the hope for serendipity. The day she called herself might have been the day that completely changed her life. Huh? That's weird. It actually shouldn't be ringing. Hello? Anyone there? Leela flinches and instinctively throws her phone, and that's how the call gets disconnected. Leela rushed towards the corner of her dimly lit hut looking for a phone, which was hopefully all right. She threw her phone in such an agitation that it refused to turn on. Oh man, the connection here itself is in a bad state, and now my phone died, exclaimed Leela. The phone starts ringing again. Wait a second, how is it ringing?
And that's how she enters this entire mythological setup.
Yes, ma'am, that's how she enters ties with her caller. And ma'am, it's just a story of how two people that supposedly are anonymous to each other, don't know each other, somehow fall into ties with each other and have conversation. And then they help each other.
Yes, but then she dials herself.
Yes, ma'am.
and
Ma'am,
the
that was the thing.
codenames.
Ma'am, actually, the reason why I thought of this was, ma'am, a few days before I thought of the story, I just got this thought randomly in my head. Ma'am, I think it was a night we were watching a movie, so I was just splayed all over the sofa, and I was just wondering about this. So, I decided to give it a try myself, and I called my own number, and that's when I got like mama busy and out of reach. So that's how I actually came up with the story.
Interesting. I think quite a few of us have tried this. I've definitely tried it as a child, dialed my own number. And that too, when I was, as children, we used to have landlines. And a lot of times what we would do was, because there was no caller ID and all of that happening then. So we would actually, also sometimes crank call and, be a little naughty like that. And then just to wake people up, or, get them to come to their phones, if nothing else. So while one of those escapades, rather, I would say that we did I think my cousins and I did try calling our own number, and then that's the time when we realized that it'll always, of course, be reached. But it's kind of eerie in your story when somebody picks up the phone.
Yes, Baba, it makes you double check if you've actually dialed the right number,
Right,
and then
exactly.
you realize you're talking to mom, a supposed yourself.
Yeah, now that's like, okay, let's zip our lips now, because we want them to read our story, right? So great, Shrishti. I think that was very well done, and a very, very, again, another very insightful story for everyone to read. If you're into mythological fiction, you'll definitely like it. So we've already covered science fiction, we have mythological fiction, we have fantasy fiction, we have all kinds of fiction over here. So if you can think of a name or any new term that's been coined, it's all there. Everything is there. It's a fully packed book with all kinds of masala in it, and it's written by children. And when you read it, you wouldn't believe that it's been written by this age group. So yeah, the kind of research that's gone into this, I must mention again, is amazing, because this entire research into Santhals, the first man, and I have learned a lot through each of these stories. I've learned how to make air purifiers to begin with. I've also learned how to make a little about Santhals, a little about spies, a little about every story has taught me something completely different. Like, I didn't know that there existed an island called Kalimantan. So, so little things. And you'd be surprised that these children know about all of them. I didn't know that tardigrades could actually exist without oxygen and sunlight. And they could be sent to space, and then they were actually sent to space. So it is just amazing how children can literally think through things and come out with such brilliant stuff. And just as we're done with this, I think I'll take you very briefly through the writing process that each of these children went through, because this is something that I think we should all be using in our classrooms. But given that